Alice Stewart Show is on the air and on your radio right now. Here's more from Alice on 96.5 The Voice.
Let freedom ring. Let the white dove sing.
Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, 7:49. Looking at national politics here. I encourage everyone, as you're watching your Sunday news programs, tune into ABC with George Stephanopoulos, and you will see Arkansas prominently featured on the Sunday morning program in the Sunday Spotlight, focusing on the Senate race here between Senator Mark Pryor and Congressman Tom Cotton. And the correspondent who will be doing that story is none other than Jeff Zeleny. He is a political correspondent for ABC News. He joins us this morning via the Royal Overhead Door Hotline. Jeff, great to have you here.
Hey, Alice, good morning.
Good. Well, thanks for calling in. You've spent some time in Arkansas recently, but first I want to ask you this. ABC News, George Stephanopoulos, the Sunday Spotlight will feature this race here in Arkansas. Why is it, of all the Senate races in the state, you're kicking it off, focusing on this state here in Arkansas?
Well, Alice, I think that the Arkansas Senate race is really one of the best races in the country. Now, you only really need to remember the number 6 when you look at the 2014 midterm elections. And 6 seats are what Republicans need to win back control of the Senate. And one of those 6 seats that Republicans really believe that they need to win control of the Senate is in Arkansas. So we came to Arkansas recently, had a great time. It was great to see you again. Yes. And we really we're trying to introduce this race to the country to show why it's important. So really it gets down to this is one of those top-line races that for the next several months we'll be playing out, and we wanted to drop in and see how it was going.
And you spent some time, as you say, in Little Rock. You went and visited with the two candidates, focusing clearly on Senator Mark Pryor, Congressman Tom Cotton, and you got a chance to visit with each of them individually, and you had the privilege of heading out to Gillette for the Coon Supper. I want to ask you first off, your impressions of the two candidates that you weren't aware of prior to visiting with them.
Sure, I think that my takeaway impressions of this race really boil down to this. Senator Pryor obviously is a Democrat in a year when it's tough to be a Democrat everywhere, particularly, I think, in Arkansas. So he is trying to distance himself and remind people that he's not always in lockstep with President Obama, and remind people that there's more to his service than the health care vote. Now, Senator Pryor's been around for a long time. Tom Cotton, of course, is newer to this stage. So in talking with Congressman Cotton, Republicans really have their hopes highly squared on him. Obviously, a rising Republican conservative figure in the state and the country. But sitting down and talking with him in his childhood home, in the living room of his parents' home in the Dardanelle, really started to get some more biographical facts of what led him from Dardanelle to the East Coast. So I think viewers will see sort of who these men are, but this race really boils down to Tom Cotton trying to introduce himself and define himself on his own terms before Democrats try and do it for him.
Right, and that's clearly the key. And everyone here, listeners, are aware of the Pryor name and legacy in the state of Arkansas, and that goes back for many, many years. But as you say, the key for Congressman Cotton would be to increase the name ID and get his message out there before he is defined by Senator Pryor. I want to ask you this, Jeff. Part of this is you visited with both of them. You saw them on the campaign trail. You had personal time with them. You also hit the Coon Supper. But the piece also that will air Sunday morning on ABC News looks at some of the political traditions here in Arkansas. What did you find?
Well, the Coon Supper was certainly a treat, and it was great just to visit with people in Gillette. And really what I was doing was watching how Senator Pryor and Congressman Cotton were received and how they kind of worked the room. And you have to give Senator Pryor credit for knowing how to shake every hand in the room. He knows a lot of those people. As he said, he's been going to this Coon Supper since his father was on the ballot. And it's been almost a half century since a Pryor's name has been on the ballot. But the central question here is, are voters valuing that anymore, or do they want some fresh blood? And if they want fresh blood, Tom Cotton certainly provides that. I mean, he is a new Republican on the stage. If he's a fresh voice, a fresh face, I think he's probably a little bit uneasier, during the retail side of politics. But boy, people were happy to see him. So you'll see some good video on the show of them shaking hands and sort of doing, I thought, a very skillful dance of never coming into contact with one another, except a very quick handshake at the end of the Coon Supper. So a lot of good political flavor, some handshakes between Tom Cotton's parents. Obviously, his mother, Avis, has been hugely prominent in some ads. So we show a good video of the Cottons shaking hands with Senator Pryor. So the Coon Supper was a great tradition, and we're happy to drop in and take a look at it.
No, it's great to see you there, and certainly the rapport between the two of them. I was there with you and watching them as well, sitting so close to each other at the table, but not many words shared between the two candidates, as you say, except
That's
for
right.
that brief handshake as they cross paths, and it's interesting to see. And that's the great thing about Arkansas politics is sometimes it's a blood sport, but at the end of the day, we're all neighbors, so we do run into each other. Encourage folks to go to watch ABC Sunday morning, ABC with George Stephanopoulos, and see Arkansas prominently featured. Jeff, one more question. We've got about 40 seconds left. How do you see this playing out? I know you can't predict winners and losers, but Obamacare will certainly be a big issue. But how do you see this playing out?
It will. Obamacare is a big issue, and a big answer to this race is are voters still going to be viewing Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act as negatively as they do now? If so, that is a challenge for Senator Pryor. But look, this is going to be a toss-up race throughout. You'll see a lot of ratings back and forth, lean this way, lean that way. This will be a toss-up throughout. Both sides will have enough money. There are going to be air wars, but this is not going to be decided on television. I think this will be decided by who voters actually like, if they want to keep Senator Pryor in office, someone they're familiar with, or if they're ready for a new direction with Tom Cotton. So we'll come back again, and we'll check in on it in a few months.
I look forward to having you come back for sure. Jeff Zeleny, ABC News. Jeff, thank you.
Alice, thank you. Have a great day.
Same to you. Take care. Sunday morning, watch that on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. That wraps it up for this edition of the Alice Stewart Show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Everybody's working for the weekend. Everybody wants a new romance.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.